Where do you think we're going wrong as a society when it comes to protein, muscle protein synthesis, consuming protein, consuming different types of protein, the difference between whey protein versus plant-based protein, and even aminos? Where do you think we're going wrong?
I think we're going wrong in not understanding that not all protein is equal. Protein is not equal, depending on where you get it from. Going back to the analogy of like the house, if you look at a house made of bricks or rocks of some kind, stone, someone who's kind of, doesn't know that much about it might just say like, oh yeah, these two houses they're both made of brick. Well, one might be made of like a much more, like the minerals that and the sand that goes into it is much more robust and stronger. And the other one might be a very brittle, kind of cheap form of it. And so that is the case with proteins. They are very, very different in how they affect our body. So acting like kidney beans and beef and whey protein and essential amino acids are the same is simply not true. And the older that we get, the more important that difference is.
Why don't we break down then all the differences in protein? And I really want to have a strong emphasis as well on what you brought up, which is aminos. And I think it's a topic that not many people really know too much about. I know you mentioned that if we can imagine protein as a block and the things that make up the protein are amino acids. Can we just understand a bit more about what aminos are? And then we'll go into whey protein and pea protein and steak and liver.
The aminos that make up protein are divided into two main categories: the essential amino acids and the non-essential amino acids. And this division is what you'll hear about when people talk about complete proteins or incomplete proteins. It'll also be a big part of the debates that you hear between plant-based diets or versus animal or omnivorous diets, right?
Yeah.
And the idea of this essential versus non-essential, really, there's two parts to it. And the one part that I think maybe more of your audience might have heard is that what essential means in a diet is that you have to eat it, meaning your body can't make it. So there are also essential fatty acids, certain types of fats you need to eat because it helps rebuild your cells in certain ways. There are essential amino acids that help rebuild the proteins in your body, and you simply cannot make them. It's cool though. Your body can actually take the essential amino acids. It can take leucine, isoleucine, valine, can take these and it can help and it can actually make new ones. It can make the non-essential ones. The liver and the kidneys can actually create the other ones, but you have to get the essential.
Isn't leucine the primary amino acid for muscle protein synthesis?
It is. Essential amino acids are not only the one that your body can't make, they're also the active component. And when I say active, think about like activated, meaning they actually do something. So the other amino acids, the non-essential ones, can be used as building blocks to help rebuild skin. But the essential amino acids actually communicate to the body to break down and to rebuild proteins. And the more essential amino acids that you have in your blood in a high concentration, kind of measured at a peak moment, is directly correlated to how much more muscle protein synthesis and how much more whole body protein synthesis you'll get. In simple terms, when you eat a food or a supplement and you get a lot of the essential amino acids in your blood, that's how much new skin protein, how much liver proteins are going to be replaced, how much muscle protein is going to be built. It's really about how much of the essential amino acids are in a high concentration at once. The one nuance I'd say too is as you get older, you also need more leucine. And we can come back to that later, but that's like the key piece. And so when you're comparing all these different food sources, really the question is, okay, when I eat kidney beans, how digestible are they? How much of it is made up of essential amino acids? And how quickly does it get into my blood? Similar when I'm comparing it to steak, when I'm comparing it to whey protein, et cetera. And so I think this is kind of maybe a quick synopsis is just very simple. And we can go more into the plant-based thing, but I would just say in general, plant proteins other than spirulina and soy, and tofu is actually a good composition of the soy, they really don't come anywhere close to competing with animal proteins. That said, there are vegetarian proteins like dairy, eggs, which are very close to meats or in some cases even better. And then there's meats. So that's kind of like a simple division in terms of the protein quality when you're really thinking about what's actually going to stimulate this protein synthesis. But then even within the scope of like these animal proteins, it matters how you eat it even.
Well, doesn't it have a high thermogenic effect as well if you're consuming protein as opposed to a carbohydrate?
A high thermogenic effect just means when you eat the protein, does it actually like make you burn more calories? And yes, because when you consume carbohydrates, think about it, you're just like putting gasoline in the tank. It doesn't make, you don't need to like burn more because of it. But when you consume protein, and particularly essential amino acids, it tells your body, hey, we need to replace this old muscle tissue. Well, that takes energy. You actually have to burn energy to build the new proteins. And so it's any kind of, depending on the source, could be anywhere from like 10 to 30%. When you're like essential amino acid supplements are going to be even more thermogenic than say whole food proteins.
So let me get this straight. We need to have essential amino acids in order to rebuild, whether it's muscle, skin, hair, everything. Essential amino acids are things that we need to consume because the body doesn't make them themselves. And to get the complete amino acid profile or even the essentials, we have to find them in animal-based foods because they may not be found in certain proteins that are found in plant-based foods. Is that correct?
One nuance I would make is you can get them from plants.
You
would
just have to overconsume those plants.
You would have to consume a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so you're naturally going to consume a lot more calories in trying to consume them. And you need to combine more of them to get an ideal profile. And I think all this, especially in the context of aging. So if we're talking about, say, like a 15-year-old or 20-year-old, it's a little bit different. The nuance we're getting into becomes very, very important once we hit age 40. Mm-hmm. Really, at age 30, it's important, but at age 40, especially because our body has such a harder time doing it. So yes, that's correct. Maybe a further kind of point to this then is then understanding where and how something like aminos fit in or protein powder. Like, are those good? Are those better? Do you even need them if you're eating enough of the other protein? And here's a really, I think, important take-home point for people. If you eat a 5-ounce steak, but you eat it on its own, meaning there's nothing else, like literally just cook up a steak and you eat it on its own, it's been shown to have more of the essential amino acids get digested and go into the blood and hit this high level and thus stimulate more of this protein turnover in the body, replacing the old ones with new ones, than if you ate over twice that amount, like a 12-ounce steak, but you ate that 12-ounce steak with broccoli and potatoes, et cetera, as part of a mixed meal. And the reason for that is because when you eat the steak on its own, it's more easily digested and the essential amino acids are more quickly absorbed into the blood and they can hit this peak concentration higher. So that's not a proposal or an argument to tell everyone to separate all their foods. Like I'm a huge fan of that meal, broccoli, potatoes, and steak. It just gives you the insight into like, okay, so the isolated proteins on their own are actually potentially more beneficial. And this becomes further proven if you take a whey protein powder and you compare it to that steak, gram for gram, meaning like they have the equal doses. The whey protein is 3 times as potent as the steak. So protein powder, just like supplementing in your diet with some protein powder, is not just a nice replacement, say for not trying to like eat one more chicken breast or eat one more piece of beef jerky or eat one more Greek yogurt. It literally is many times more potent and more powerful than the whole food, specifically for this protein turnover.